During this quarantine, many of us are forced to spend large amounts of time at home with the other residents of our living space. I have spent the majority of my waking hours with my wife, Cindy. However, we do have different interests and hobbies that we use to pass the time. While I am content spending hours every night playing Call of Duty Warzone with the boys, Cindy would rather watch the entire Gilmore Girls series for the third time.
Boy, with the poodles already.
It can feel at times like we are isolated, not only from the outside world, but also each other. This is why I've decided to introduce Cindy to the wonderful world of video games, so that we can share in experiences together. So, where do we start? While my wife has some experience with controllers, I felt like a mouse and keyboard would have an easier learning curve. After all, she has used a mouse much more than a controller over the course of her life. What game allows her to learn first-person shooting mechanics without the risk of her getting her head shot off? Where can she struggle with the controls and not worry about dying to an enemy over and over? Then it hit me. Portal. So this video is going to be asking the question, should your wife, or non-gamers that you live with, play Portal? Portal is a puzzle platform game where the protagonist is completing tests administered by a robot. The protagonist has a gun that can create two portals that traverse space. Many of the problems can be solved by using your own momentum or by transporting objects through the portals.
No. Yeah? Hey.
It's a short game at about 3 hours that I thought would be a relaxing way for Cindy to get more comfortable with mouse aiming and moving with a keyboard. Boy, was I wrong. What I forgot is that it is possible to die in Portal, and when you don't have a good grasp on the controls, you die a lot.
Aw, man!
After watching her die in the same spot 30 times, my patience as a backseat gamer was seriously tested. Also, it wasn't until later that I remembered that this jump was supposed to be impossible and needed a portal. The fear of dying turned their trial and error process into a reluctancy to move, despite there not being many consequences for death.
Let's make this kitty purr.
Well, go ahead, try a turn. Tina, why are you groaning? You're doing fine. Tina, relax. Easy, easy.
There's also a disconnect between her and her character because of a lack of familiarity with the controls.
Almost had it.
It has happened so fast.
She would walk into a room and stand still as she scanned the room to figure out what to do. Many times, not able to even see the solution because she was not looking at things from different angles. After looking around the first of several rooms for a couple of minutes, I would impatiently ask, "What are you trying to do?" At which I was met with a death glare. This slow method of gathering information became tiresome for someone who was more experienced with the controls and would move around the room to explore. The 3-hour game took her 6 hours to complete. So what's the verdict? Should your wife play Portal? The answer, yes. Cindy did get more comfortable with the controls throughout the game, which was the main purpose of her playing it. By the final boss, she was able to maneuver and aim her portals fairly well. Her later struggles were with the unique game mechanics of Portal, and her non-traditional approach to the problems that made them more difficult. For instance, on the final boss, you must get the rocket turret to shoot through the portal to hit GLaDOS hanging from the ceiling. Instead of enticing the rocket into a lower portal to send out a higher portal, Cindy tried to do the opposite. Because of her fear of getting hit by the rocket, she stood next to a lower portal and got the rocket to fly into a higher portal. This sent the rocket out of the lower portal at an upward angle. While this method could work, it was much more difficult to line up the shot. I would recommend your non-gamer friend to play this game, with one caveat. If you don't have much patience like me, let your wife play this game alone. Let her figure out the puzzles and explore the world at her own pace. Just be there in case she needs help. Cindy became frustrated at times, and I probably made things worse.
What? How? Oh gosh. I don't know what to do.
I think I was more relieved when she completed the game than she was.
Okay. Yes!
They did it.
Did it.
That's relief. My hands are like super sweaty.
After completing the game, your wife, or non-gamer friend that you're stuck with, should be familiar enough with the controls to play a game that you can both enjoy. Just don't throw them to the wolves in an online FPS game just yet. Remember, after all, they're still just a noob.